Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tanya Ray, and this is your April energy update. In other words, this is what the collective may expect in the month of April. Keep in mind that this is a generalized reading, and I never want somebody to make something fit that doesn't feel aligned to them. So you use your own discernment to decide whether or not this message is for you. I invite you at the end to reflect on anything that has come up during this reading, even if it was things like, I didn't really agree with that. That doesn't feel like me. Evaluate that to see if there's resistance for a reason and it's telling you something deeper, or if it's simply not a message for you. Again, don't ever make anything fit. However, I have set the intention that this reading will meet the people that it is meant for, and that this reading is for the highest and greatest good of all who receive it. With that said, here is the King of Cups starting us out, and the question that I asked was, what is the main theme coming up for April 2025? And the interesting thing about this to me is, if you watched my spring equinox collective reading, this was, I believe, the first card in that one too. So the King of Cups is a very important character in this springtime, and specifically in April. I would say this is more of an overarching energy, since I'm reading the theme right now, versus a person. So it's the energy that we're talking about that the King of Cups brings. And the King of Cups represents emotional stability. He is very emotionally intelligent, and because of that, he can lead with compassion. The King of Cups has really gathered a lot of wisdom based on being able to process his emotions. He is driven by his emotions, however, from a stable place, meaning sometimes we're driven by our emotions, but in an impulsive way. And really, what's happening there is likely that we're avoiding actually feeling that emotion. We might act out in fear or anger because we don't like what it's bringing up for us. So instead, we lash out. The King is not about that. The King is about really learning about himself and creating inner peace within himself so that he can, again, lead with compassion and grace and respond to people in his life with empathy and with understanding, knowing that two different viewpoints can exist, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world. Again, King of Cups is largely about creating inner peace, and because of that, he's deeply connected to connecting to your inner knowing, your intuition as well. So if that has been something that has felt a little bit stuck for you lately, embrace this energy of the King of Cups. Now, because he's showing up in the first spot in both the spring reading and this reading, it could be a nod that the collective has been doing a lot of work on this. So if you're one of those people who feels like, you know what, I've already become pretty emotionally mature and at peace inside of myself, then just take this more as a nod that you're on the right track and that you're being recognized for that. But I do feel like we always have more to learn, right? So we're always the student and the teacher. So I love this visual of how we just had water with the cups. That's water, that's flow, that's emotions. And now we have fire, which is passion. It's faster, it's more energy, if you will. Specifically, we are looking at the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is that creative spark. It is inspiration. And this creative spark, this inspiration can open up new opportunities, new beginnings, and it can create an excitement that motivates you to take action on things and to respond to, like I said, new opportunities or new beginnings. It's a very creative energy. So you might feel your creative juices flowing in the month of April. And this might be something completely new to you that you are feeling drawn to. And likely it's because of the emotional component that the King of Cups is bringing up. The King of Cups is helping you to gain emotional clarity on what it is that truly drives you, and then you're able to use that passion and inspiration from the Ace of Wands to start creating that, or to continue on the path if you're already working on the thing. And now I have added in our final card for the theme of April. It's not the whole reading, but the theme of April, which is the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles we could look at as really, how are we going to create this success for ourselves with potentially this newfound excitement for something. And it, like I said, it could be just a newfound excitement for something that you are already working on or working towards, or it could be something completely brand new. The Knight of Pentacles is very much about discipline. This is the earth element, okay? So we've got fire, water, and earth. So if I move that out a little bit, we've got like the flow energy in the middle with the water, and then we've got the grounding energy and the passionate fire energy. The Knight of Pentacles is a grounded energy. He is about taking grounded action, having discipline, and having patience for the things to come into fruition. It's about consistent effort and taking responsibility for whatever it is that you are trying to create. So there is a very active component to this, a very, I'm involved in this and I'm committed to this energy. You are being guided to follow the passion and the inspiration and create a process for it with the Knight of Pentacles and follow through, even when things don't feel like they're happening as fast as you would like them to, because as a reminder, the Knight of Pentacles is about patience. He knows that sometimes things take a little bit longer, but that's building a stronger foundation for longevity. So bringing this full circle for the theme of April, the main theme that the collective is to experience in April, it's feeling like April is about aligning with our passions and our purpose, if you will. But I like to say purposeful work or that sort of thing, because purpose can get a lot of us hung up on it has to be this big, grandiose thing. And sometimes that's not true. Sometimes you existing is your purpose, quite honestly. And I think really what we're talking about is, like I said, purposeful or meaningful work or focus in life, because as humans, we like that feeling. So this is aligning with those passions and that purposeful stuff, whether it's work or projects or whatever. There is a push to actually take steady action on it. Remember, it's not going to come into fruition if you're not willing to take the action on it. We are being guided to trust our instincts a little bit more with the King of Cups and embrace new opportunities. Again, that's the Ace of Wands, while being committed to the process and figuring out what the plan is and taking those actionable steps, the Knight of Pentacles. This month in April is about showing up consistently for the things that you are passionate about. One thing that I want to bring up is just make sure that if you are somebody who there's a lot of things popping up, a lot of inspiration, which could very well happen, make sure that you are paying attention to which one really feels aligned to you and focus on that first, because it's not that you can't have everything, but you have to focus on one thing in order to start pulling in the other things. In other words, harness your inspiration wisely and start building a very strong foundation for long-term success. This is feeling like, yes, this is a message for April. This is the theme for April. But what it's doing is it's setting the stage for the rest of the season, if not longer. So let me know what you're feeling about this theme in April. The next question that I asked was, what else do we need to know as a collective about April? And it's quite funny that this message is feeling very reminiscent to the theme of April. I guess that makes sense because that's a pretty big theme, quite honestly. There's a lot going on there, and maybe we just don't need a whole lot more information. But here's what the message is, and this one I'm going to read a little bit more as a progression as it sits on the table right now. So the first card that I pulled was the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is going back to the energy of the Knight of Pentacles in some ways. Of the Seven knows that doing the work and being willing to wait for it, even when you don't quite see it, because let's say you've planted something in the ground, you know that it's there and that eventually it's going to grow into a beautiful fruit tree and you're going to get the fruits of your labor, quite literally. But it's not there yet. And it's about understanding that just because you haven't seen it yet, when you are fully committed to taking the action, it is going to come in. However, the Seven of Pentacles can be a time for evaluating where you're putting your time and efforts. So it's not about saying, okay, well, it's obviously not working because nothing has come in. You are building a foundation, but be aware that you might need to look at what foundation are you building and is it what you truly want? Because the next card is the Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Wands tends to be about carrying too much, which is very clearly depicted in the card there on the bottom right. The Ten of Wands is carrying too much. There's too much overwhelm. Maybe you're taking too much action or trying to force things when you need to allow yourself a little bit more grace and understand that if you are taking action on the things that are really important to you, they are going to materialize. They are going to come into your reality, but try not to push so hard. Pay attention to what's actually helping you create what you want and what you might be doing because you think you have to, but it's not actually creating a path towards what you want to create. Am I forcing something that doesn't really need to be forced? And how can I make things a little bit easier on myself so I can continue to take that inspired action that's actually going to bring me closer to where I want to be? Because right next to that, we have the Page of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles is all about that fresh start and growth. Page of Pentacles really likes to learn and is drawn to new opportunities. The Page of Pentacles is a very curious character. She likes to build her skills, so being open to the idea that maybe I don't know the best way to do this, and maybe there's somebody out there that can help me, or a resource or something like that will help me build whatever it is, whatever you're trying to create for yourself, whether it's a new career, whether it's a business, whether it's something in your home life, whatever it is that you're trying to create in the month of April. Is there something that can be learned that doesn't feel heavy, though, that isn't adding to the burden of the 10 of Wands, but is actually helping you get closer to where you want to go? And Page of Pentacles is very much this character of wanting to know, wanting to build, and she's very focused on the goal, but is also very practical about it. So taking those practical steps. We have 2 pentacles, plus we had another pentacle in the theme. And this tells me that grounded action is a very key component to the month of April. In April, which is really feels, at least to me, like the start of spring. I know we technically start it in March, but it feels like the official start of spring. In some areas, people start planting things then, and we talk about April showers bring May flowers, all of that stuff. So planting the seeds so that whatever it is that you're trying to create has the potential to grow, and understanding that it might not happen by the end of April. We've only got 30 days in April, by the way, but I could see you stepping into a completely new situation by summer, if not before. The message here is that April is a month to work. It is a month of work, but also it's a month to evaluate where things need adjusting, where you might be carrying things that responsibilities that you don't need to take action on anymore, or you don't need to carry, and paying attention to opportunities, being very open to being a student, learning from people that, or resources that can help you get where you're wanting to go. Those are the messages for the month of April. I strongly invite you to reflect on what it is that you want to create, and are you open to the possibility of new inspiration coming in? Also, are you open to allowing yourself to get vulnerable with those emotions? And if you are, or if you've been doing that, how could that create more abundance and excitement in your life? How could that open up more opportunities in your life? With that said, thank you for joining me, and like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed this reading. See you soon, and please comment below if this message resonates with you.